Hey everybody, I'm Nick from TheFOAT, and behind me we have Jesse Iwuji's 2023 Chevrolet C8 Z06, which makes 670 horsepower and redlines at 8,500 RPM. This thing does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, and it's a 10.5 in the quarter mile. Let's learn more. Hey everybody, welcome back to the second episode of Behind the Ride. I'm your host Nick, and I have none other than go ahead and just introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are.
Yeah, my name is Jesse Iwuji, and I'm a NASCAR driver, U.S. naval officer, entrepreneur. I've been putting on events with TheFOAT for a very long time, yeah, excited to be here for this interview.
Oh man, that's a long list of things that you do.
That's a short list of all the things I did.
Short list of things that you do. But it sounds to me like you're just in motorsports from many different avenues, from racing to promoter, behind the scenes. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into motorsports.
Yeah, so, for me, I'm like the only one in my family who's ever really been into cars, into racing like that, right? I think my brothers are slowly catching on a little bit. But, ever since I was a little kid, when I was 5, 6 years old, I used to watch the show Knight Rider. And David Hasselhoff and the black Trans Am that they had, I mean, that got me into cars. And since then, right after that, I would watch NASCAR and F1 and sports car racing on TV. Never thought I would actually do it. I just enjoyed watching it on TV. And then as I got into college, I got recruited to play football in college. So I was a football player. Football was my big thing. Nice. So, played football in high school, played football in college, played all 4 years at the U.S. Naval Academy. And while there, anytime I had any free moments, YouTube was a pretty new thing. So I would go on YouTube and watch different videos, and I found myself watching Top Gear a lot. And I used that to help learn all the different parts and pieces of vehicles. Every time they would mention something saying, hey, this new sports car, this new supercar has a limited slip differential, or has a this, or has a that. Every time I would hear something I didn't know, I'd go on the internet and quickly do some research to learn. And as I was doing that during my college years, I was really growing my passion for cars and racing. And then once I graduated in 2010, I became a U.S. naval officer. I was a surface warfare officer. I was on the ships. I went on a couple different deployments. Each deployment I went on was a great opportunity to save a lot of money, and I did that. And I was trying to figure out what to do with that money. And because I had a huge passion in cars, I put a lot of that money into cars. Now, some people would say that's not the best financial move to make. Well, guess what? It led me to where I'm at right now, right? So started pouring a lot of money into my cars. At the time. Started when I came back from deployments, when I would have free weekends, I would go to different tracks in Southern California, drag strips, road course tracks. I do track days all the time. And after a few years of that, one day I was sitting in my room one night, it was January 2014, and I made this crazy decision that I wanted to go after professional racing. And I didn't know where that was going to take me. I didn't know where I was going to go with it. But I knew that if I put a lot of research into it, I put a lot of energy into it, a lot of time, a lot of just invested dedication towards it, that I could actually make it work. So I started grinding to try to figure it out, try to figure out what are all the resources necessary to get into racing, what are all the resources necessary to keep you in racing. And I did my best to figure all that stuff out and figure out how to tackle each one of those challenges. One of the biggest challenges in motorsports period is the funding side, right? Exactly. Everything costs money, nothing's free, right? There might be some companies that help you out here and there, but at the end of the day, it still costs money. Yep. The fuel isn't gonna be free ever. Tires probably aren't ever going to be free. All this stuff ain't going to be free, right? So for me, maintenance, all that stuff, at the end of the day, people got to make a living too, right? So I had to figure out the funding side. So my first idea to figure that out was look for sponsorship. I couldn't find that at first because I was a new guy in racing. So I figured, okay, if I can't find sponsorship from companies, how can I create that money? I was like, why don't I create it myself? So that's when I decided to start my first business. And I was going to do this business outside of my service that I was already doing in the Navy, right? So I'm serving, doing my basically 9-to-5 job with the Navy. Outside of that, on the weekends, I was basically putting on my business. So the business was putting on drag racing events. So TheFOAT was the ticketing site I decided to use, and developed a great relationship with them, everything they do. I mean, they're one of the biggest motorsports platforms as far as putting on tickets for events around the country, especially in the grassroots world. And started putting on my events at Famoso Raceway, which is now Famoso Drag Strip. Started putting on events in different places too as well. I've put on events in Texas and Arizona, you name it.
Now, why drag racing? What made you start with drag racing when you're trying to pursue a career in like NASCAR?
In NASCAR, yeah. So my first ever taste at me jumping on any kind of track ever was a drag strip. And I did that with my Chrysler 300 back in college. Then I had a Challenger, which was about the same color as my Z06 here, and was drag racing with that. And I had helped the shop that was building my Challenger put on an event themselves, and I handled basically all the logistics for it, all the ticketing, promotion of it, you name it. I did all that stuff for them for one event. And after doing that one time, I was like, you know what? I can actually do this myself. Like I literally just did it myself to help them, because he didn't do anything really to get the event going except pay for it. Right. So I was like, I can do this myself. If I can twist a few little things, turn a few little knobs, I can actually make it something that's profitable. So decided to start my own events, and it's been really fun putting them on. The community is great. A lot of folks out there who just want to get their cars to the track and drag race. It brings people off the streets to the track. Some people still stay on the streets, but I'm trying to convert everybody to the track. But it's a fun event where people come in, they have a good time, and it's a value add for them, right? At the end of the day, it's not something that makes me rich or anything like that. Yeah, you can make some money, but I don't make a living off of it. Right. But it's still something fun to do. It's great for the shops. It's great for the people out there who are enthusiasts, because there's just not enough events out there, especially here in Southern California. We have more car meets than we do actually racing events, right? So I'm trying to just make sure that we don't lose our last bit of racing at the track.
We definitely need to keep the tracks alive.
Yeah.
And that's not just California, that's honestly everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. I wish I could put on events everywhere. If I wish I had the time to do it, I'd do it.
So what is the name of your event?
Yeah, so the event is called the Red List Series. And we put it on 3 times a year at Famoso Drag Strip. Typically we have a spring event, a late summer event, and end of the year December event. Oh, okay. And we've been doing that since 2015, every single year. And the events have gone well. We have all different kind of vehicles that come out, from bikes, cars, trucks, real race cars, you name it. Everything comes out. I've seen every kind of build you can think of, from bone stock cars all the way to 2,000 plus horsepower cars. We've even had top fuel dragsters come out. So yeah, it's been pretty wild.
What's some of the biggest challenges you face when it comes to promoting your own event?
I would say the biggest challenges to promoting the event is really making sure you get the word out there, right? I've been putting these events on now since 2015, and we have a lot of people who come. And when I say a lot for our event, right? I know there's events that are bigger that will have 20,000 people come. Our events, we're typically 1,500, 2,000 people will come out to the event, which, it's a decent number, and it's good enough where it works, right? It makes sure all the bills are paid, everything's good, and we're golden. But I would say the biggest challenge is continuing just to get the word out there, right? Because we can't rely on the fact that just because you had X amount of people come to the event before that they're all coming back. You have to continue to make new customers, new fans. I mean, there's people who I've had come to 3-4 years of events in a row, and then I've never seen them since. Maybe they moved away, maybe they sold their car, they moved on to something else in life, they had kids, family, maybe financial issues, whatever it is. I've seen people come and go. So because of that, you always got to continue to get new customers, new people, and it is not as simple as just making a post on social media. Right. A lot of people think, oh, I just make some posts with flyers and people are just going to show up. No, I literally have to go so back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, when you do sales, you go door to door, knock on doors. I go door to door online. So I literally go and DM people one by one, just to let them know about the event. And I don't spam people. It's just more of, I personally say, hey, John, hey, I see that you have a Evo, or you have this Fox Body Mustang, or this and that, looks pretty fast. You know, I would love to invite you out to my event. Here's the information on it. And I make sure that they know that I'm not a robot, like I'm a real person. I see that you have this particular car, and I would love to have you at the event. You know, and I door to door, and it takes days and days and days to do this, you know, but it helps and it works, and people, they like it. I think they like the fact that somebody real is reaching out, who actually cares to know about their vehicle and wants them to come out to an event that happens and brings out cool cars. Because what I try to do is I try to put the best of the best together and have them race, because for the drivers, I think they feel great when they come to an event knowing that every car that they're running against is just a really badass car.
How hard was it to transition to something like NASCAR?
Yeah, so you know, started off in the drag racing world, and around late 2013, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, I love drag racing, it's fun, I still do it today. I literally, actually yesterday, I was at a drag strip with this, but I was like, I want to learn how to go fast, not only in a straight line, but around corners. So I decided to purchase at that time in 2013, a C6 Z06 Corvette. And I wanted to buy it, one, because it would have been a great daily driver, since my Challenger was fully built and not the most friendly daily driver in the world. I needed something that was going to be more reasonable, still quick, still sporty, but also I can take it to the road course too as well. So I bought a C6 Z06, took it to a track 2 weeks later after I bought it, went to Auto Club Speedway, ran the Roval, had a lot of good times doing that, and kept on trying to advance my skills at all the different tracks I was going to in Southern California. And after a few months of doing that, that's when I realized, I was like, man, this is cool, doing this whole road course thing and racing not racing, but driving side by side with other vehicles. It's fun, but I want to take this to the next level, and I want to actually professionally race. So I looked into different series, I looked into different things, and the first series that really caught my eyes the most, where I felt like I was going to be different in it, and it was going to be a series where I could really find myself leveling up, was NASCAR. There wasn't a lot of African American drivers. I think at that time there was one or so racing in all the 3 levels of the 3 main levels of NASCAR. And because of that, I was like, okay, I can be another one, right? That there's just not a lot of us. I'll be different, I'll be unique. There's no military guys who are serving and racing, so why don't I be, you know, one of the first to do that? So decided to go that route, and it's been a really cool journey over the last, since 2015 now, yeah, over the last 7-8 years.
That's definitely a big risk, because, you know, like anything professional, right? You're pretty much doing that from when you're a child.
Yeah.
And going into like middle school, high school, and nowadays, especially in professional sports, kids are getting recruited out of high school.
Yeah.
And you're saying you started doing this after college.
When I first decided to get into racing, I was like about 26, 27 or so. So I was way older than most people who started racing when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. I mean, most kids getting into racing, yeah, they're in that 5 to 8 year old range in go-karts, and then work their way up to the next step and the next step and the next step. So by the time that they're 26, 27, they're already sometimes 20 years of experience racing wheel to wheel, you know, every weekend of their life up until that point. Whereas I'm jumping into it saying, hey guys, I want to compete too. So even doing that and jumping in, I wasn't the fastest guy at all, but I was still faster than some people. So for me to be faster than anybody, when all these people had way more experience than me, for me was a huge blessing.
Yeah. Did that kind of intimidate you a bit, knowing that these guys had a lot more experience compared to when you first jumped in?
No, it didn't intimidate me. At the end of the day, you're not going to win every race, right? It's very hard to win, especially in NASCAR. There's budgets that can help you win, you know, and if you don't have that budget, it's very difficult to win. So for me, jumping into NASCAR, winning wasn't just my number one thing, like, hey, I gotta go win right now, because I don't even have halfway the amount of experience as half these guys, right? So why don't I focus on me just doing the best that I can for each day I go out there? If my best finish for the year is going to be a top 5, then that's what it is. That's my win. If my best finish is going to be a top 10, then that's my win. This past year, I finished 11th at Daytona, which is one of the biggest tracks, one of the biggest stages to race at, and to go there and finish basically top 15 for me was a huge blessing when you're running in a 38 car field at the second highest level of NASCAR. So that was a win for me right there. Doing things like that, that's my win. Other people, if they're going after trophies, going whatever, go do that. That's cool. I came in very late, so I have different sets of goals that make me happy, and I'll be able to go to my grave when I'm 100 years old being like, you know what, I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So now you got to walk us through that, because that must have been like an experience of a lifetime in itself. Everybody knows Daytona, but to actually just go there and race and participate, that's got to be a different feeling than what just a normal spectator would go. So I kind of wanted your POV of what it was like, for one, finding out you're going to Daytona, and for two, actually just getting in the car, strapping down, putting your helmet on, turning the car on, and just racing.
So racing at Daytona is this really crazy, surreal feeling. When you are there, just walking on the premise, just to look around and see this massive facility. I mean, it's a 2.5 mile track, and it's huge. You can literally fit, like, I don't know if you've ever been to any, NFL games or anything like that, or college football games, but you can fit an NFL stadium, like, you could fit, I can't remember how many, but it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 NFL stadiums inside of Daytona. That's how big the place is. It's just so massive. So just walking in there is just this crazy feeling, seeing the grandstands, how tall they are, and just knowing that there's a lot of races that have ran here. A lot of people have come through here. Hundreds of thousands of people on one weekend, would come through this place. And just to know that that's where you're at is cool. And then just strap into the car, knowing that you're gonna roll out of that really nice garage area that they have, and to roll over to the track and get on this track where you're gonna be going 190 plus miles per hour next to 37 other people. That's another surreal feeling. But then to also know in the back of your mind that people have died there, right? People have got very hurt there. People have destroyed cars to where you don't have anything resembling a car left. That happens there. So know all that's about to happen. It's an exciting feeling, but there's this very nervous feeling, like that this all can go very bad, very, very instantly and very quick, and you won't even be able to think before everything's destroyed. So that's all happening at once. And then also thinking, okay, I got to make it through this race, and I got to strategize. I got to be smart. I got to be patient. I can't get myself caught up in a mess. It's all these things going through your mind. So that's what's going through my mind the entire race. As we're starting, as we're going through the race, the middle of the race, and even towards the end when it starts getting very crazy. There was not many cars left at the end of that race when I finished 11th. I think there's less than 20 of the 38 that started. So
what do you do to kind of like channel and focus just, your mindset?
Yeah, to focus the mindset, really what I do is I try to calm myself down as much as possible before a race. It's different than football. Football, I would try to amp myself up, because in football, you're about to go on a field and you're about to put your body through another human being multiple times. Like you got to amp yourself up to do that. It's not a natural thing, So for racing, you don't want to be too amped up, because you got to be focused. You have to have laser beam focus to be able to hit your line, hit your marks on the track, lap after lap after lap, and not make any mental mistakes. Because mental mistakes will cause you to wreck. So you have to have this really, really crazy focus. And staying as calm as possible before the race is what helps make that happen.
All right, so tell us about your first big milestone in the motorsports industry. What was just the first thing that came
so my first big milestone in motorsports was probably when I went 200.9 miles per hour or something like that in my Dodge Challenger at the Mojave Mile.
200, okay.
200.
That is a big milestone.
Yeah.
For those of you viewing, it's just one thing to say you've gone 200 miles an hour, but to actually do it in a vehicle over
1 mile.
1 mile. Right.
Very difficult. 200 is achievable in like 3 miles, 2 miles or whatever. But in 1 mile from a standstill, to do it in 1 mile is way harder than what people.
And even if there was more, even if it was 2, 3, 4 miles,
some people cars
dynamics.
That won't hit it.
Physically, just you
can't do it.
So okay, now you got to tell us about that.
So in this big brick of a car, Challenger SRT8,
I wouldn't think the aero on that car
is not great, and I didn't have any extra fancy aero. Some people go out there and they start doing some funky stuff to their car to make the air flow better. I didn't do any of that stuff. The way I drive it on the street every single day was the way I took it to the track. I didn't even change tires. I didn't do nothing. I got there. Now, obviously, it was a built motor,
right.
So it was making at that time around 850-ish horsepower to the wheel. So it was a good amount of power. We didn't need any more than that. But took it to the track. My first pass, it went 199.6 or something. Second pass went 200.9. Next pass was 199 point something. So I got my 200 just that one time. But to drive 3 hours to a track, no trailer, drive it 3 hours to the, not track, to the airfield. Right. Drive it 3 hours to airfield, run 3 passes, hit 200 in one of them, and then drive 3 hours back home. That was a huge achievement. I got to be in Hot Rod magazine right after that for achieving that because I was like the 3rd or 4th person ever in history on that platform to go 200 miles per hour.
Wow.
So, and I was the 2nd one, I think, to do it and not blow up. Like the other ones that had done it had blown up, like they hurt their motor. Like they ran the pass, but the motor was done right after that. Right. Mine, like I said, I drove it there, ran it, drove it back. And I know for sure no other car has done it in that process. Even the other car that was there that did it, he trailered there.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you go racing, there's a lot of variables and you never know what's going to happen. So it's best practice to trailer, but that is definitely something very cool. One, it's less work.
Yeah.
Got to worry about it stuff, save fuel.
Save fuel, all that stuff. I need to get a trailer one day. Funny thing is we got it for a NASCAR team, right? But for my normal stuff, I've never had a trailer. So every car I take, I'm gonna go on faith to go to the track, and then it works. And if something breaks, then AAA.
So we know the signature color, and I also know it's a V8. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what is sitting behind us? Because it's not mine, even though it's FOAT orange. But it is not ours. So go ahead and let everybody know what this is.
Yeah. So right here behind us, it's a 2023 Chevy Corvette C8 Z06. There's not that many of them out there in the world right now. I was very fortunate to be able to get this. I have a great partnership with Chevrolet, as you can see, and that's mainly because of my NASCAR side of things. Our team's a Chevy team. We have a partnership with them, and that's what allowed me to be able to get on the list to get this pretty quick. This is the 34th one ever built.
Oh, wow.
So, and the reason why it's the 34th is because my number in NASCAR is 34.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
So if my number would have been 01, then they would have given me the first one. Maybe, I don't know. But no, the 34th one, that's why they gave me that one. It's been a really cool car to drive. I actually got it on the East Coast in North Carolina and drove it cross country to California. Very fun car, very reliable car. I have 4,500 miles on. I think I have the 2nd highest miles on this than of everybody who does have it right now. A very powerful car too. We put it on a Dyna Jet and it made 617 to the wheels.
Oh, wow. And that's from the factory?
From the factory. This car is not modified at all, no tune, no nothing. You can't do anything to this car. It's like unlockable right now. And also took it to a drag strip actually yesterday and ran 686 in the 8th mile at 107 miles per hour. So this car is quick from the factory. So I'm curious, if I can get some lighter wheels on it and just figure out some other ways to optimize it to see how quick this car can actually go.
Jesse, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know 2023 is going to be even more epic for you and probably hectic with a lot of traveling. So we truly appreciate it, and we truly appreciate you, using the FOAT in some of your behind the scenes motorsport stuff. So appreciate it. And if you want to give any shout outs to your sponsors or thank anybody, and just let everybody know where to follow you if they want to.
For sure. Anybody wanting to follow, just make sure you head to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm on every single channel you can think of. Just look up my name, Jesse Iwuji. That's Jesse Iwuji. Follow me on all the different channels, pages, all that stuff on all those different platforms. I'm there. And then you can also look up the Red List group. That's the Red List group. Look that up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I'm on all of that. So look me up, follow, like, everything, share everything, comment on everything, be positive, because I'm a positive person. I try not to be negative at all. And yeah, for those people out there who are looking to start different careers, different dreams, go after different goals, just know that whatever you have, you know, keep that vision in your mind, go after that vision. You have to put action towards it every single day, and just never let other people's opinion of you define your true reality.
Yeah. So there you have it. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, as we will be coming out with more behind the rides every month, and stay tuned. So like, comment, and share this video, and see you guys on the next one.